Hi. So, hi there. Welcome back. Today I thought it would be a good time to talk about uncertainty. It is always a good time to talk about uncertainty. Welcome to today's topic, the beautiful unexpectedness of life's adventures. If you think about the biggest events in your life, like the loss of a dear one, meeting your spouse, the personalities of your children, your relationship with them, what it is to be a parent, they're so unexpected. Even when you know they're unexpected, it still hits you in a totally unexpected ways. I did not expect me to be here in Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States in 2025. I did not expect to be not having a job. I did not expect the connections that I have, the friends that I have, the relationship with myself that I have, the relationship with my cat that I have, my romantic relationship. I could not have imagined. When I came to the US, it was for studying computer science or adjacent fields so I could get into tech, make good money, climb the ladder, and make my parents proud, more or less, and brag about it on WeChat or something, which is the Chinese social media. Sometimes even just a small thing. Like, I went to the school clinic the first time and learned about so many conditions that I never knew before. And they were all describing my health, my physical health, and my mental health. So the first time that I learned about them was when I was given diagnoses. And I was like, fuck, now I have to really decide, do I want to keep grinding, keep suffering these health consequences and feeling so lonely and lost? Or do I want to take my time and take care of myself? When I was at Georgia Tech, which is where I went for a master's program, I had my conditional offer or admission from Carnegie Mellon Silicon Valley campus to do their spring semester, join their master's program starting from the spring semester. And so the plan was to do one semester at Georgia Tech and then transfer. But because of my health journey, I had to decide, well, what's more important? I'm 23, let's say. I don't remember how old. Do I want to kill myself to be a software engineer? Or do I want to stay in Atlanta and take it a little slowly, but restore my health? I chose the latter. And at one point, I was on so many prescription medications. I have systemic problems with digesting. I have systemic problems with sleeping. I had systemic problems with anxiety and socializing and just in general functioning and being an adult. And at this point in my life, I have one medication that I take for my blood pressure, but it's not really that essential at this point. I'm very proud of the progress I've made. The health that I have now, I don't take it for granted. All the money that I might have made if I transferred and, killed myself working. Actually, I don't know how long that would have lasted. There would have been a time, let's say I have a stroke, get in the hospital, have a awakening moment. I know that has happened to people. I have a lot of experience with seeing other people burn out, experiencing burnout myself after 7-ish years of working, especially in consulting, man. You gotta deal with not just your own bullshit, your company bullshit, but also your client's bullshit. There was a interesting story of me being in my last week of work because of the crazy circumstance where my employer at the time was disappearing overnight, imploding overnight. And then I had a client who said, we have to make this project succeed, otherwise we would go down. And I remember thinking, I remember having this vivid visualization of being in a sinking boat while another sinking boat was next to me, and the person was yelling, "Please help me. You have to save me." And it's just so funny. I was in a sinking boat as well. Can't you see? You probably can't, because you're so worried about your survival. And at that moment, I saw the difference. I was not in survival mode anymore. At that point in my life, I went through um, loss of my mother, loss of a long-term relationship, a marriage, um, and it just became so clear. I am way more than what my fragile identity could define. I'm way more than the role that I play in any moment. There's a lot more in life. If you look if you look in the air and see all these things that you can't, all the particles you can't see, have you ever stopped and just got curious about how these particles bounce around and have a dance party around you? Well, all that can be held in your mind is, I gotta get to the next meeting. Isn't that funny? And I don't feel like that makes me detached from reality, from the necessity of being an adult, being a team worker, being a worker, being a team player, being a contributor to society. It just means that it is my responsibility to learn how I can best thrive while everything else is so unknown, while everything else can change immediately. And what I mean is really make that the top priority. Because once you start sharing, communicating clearly what you need to be the most effective and successful as yourself, most of the time others respect that. It might be awkward, there might be friction in the beginning, but over time people learn, oh, this is how he or she works. No problem. We have great results. We do great things together. We're still moving forward. We're still learning together. We're still doing shit together. It doesn't require you to fake it. In fact, faking it makes it worse for both parties. I think about companies, and especially the leaders in companies that fake their sense of security, but are driven around by that fear of not hitting targets. So they try everything to manage it, and they detach themselves from the consequences, so nobody takes responsibility. Or they start hiring for very, very specific roles for very specific periods of time, only for the short term. And then you get people that will then lie their way into a job and don't perform well, and then the company is in worse situation. One of the proudest things for me is as an interim team lead, I was able to onboard folks and have them trust my intentions and my ideas within, let's say, a week. And that has enabled us to function and stay afloat while everything was on fire, while everything was under-resourced. I love sharing about my context. I love showing people that I don't know. I share with them as much of I know and as much of what I don't know, and probably the good guesses that I have too. So we're in it together. I like creating environments like that. So we're learning together. I am not detached from your context. We're in the same context because I trust when you know that, when we're aligned on that, our solutions will be so much more creative, will be so much more aligned, and we will learn so much quicker together. So may I offer at the end of this video, if you will, what is the uncertainty that you're afraid of? What is the gravity that you're experiencing that is pushing, that is pulling you down towards a certain death that feels like the end of everything? I'm not asking you to take a leap of faith and jump off. In fact, you don't have to do anything. That's the beauty of living in the question. The only thing you take responsibility for is just finding the question that is alive and see how much it is there to teach you things about yourself and the world, and to just not be an asshole to your question. Don't rush it to the answer. In this 1 month and a week of me leaving my job, I collected quite a few questions, and they're so good. Not so good as in this is how many viral clicks I can get if I post them. They're so good because they keep on giving. It's like a self-replicating virus. You have one question. You might start with a tactical question. How do I create this amount of influence, money? And then you might wander onto strategy. How do I use this tool effectively? And then you might realize something, and it becomes what it is that it's going to get me. And then it might get closer to your identity, and it becomes what am I really passionate about? And then you might get grounded again to how do I just feel the passion 10% more as I do XYZ. There's a beautiful way that questions take you on a trail of discovery, and then you end up with a lot more growth than best answers that you can get would get you. Until next time, bye.